Hi, I'm Janice, and welcome to the Astrohaute Tarot and Oracle card reading channel. And in this video, we are going to go over whatever important messages your spirit team, whether it be ancestors, guides, galactic beings, whatever, or a combination of all, want to communicate to you. They feel that you can use a little encouraging right now. And I'm so grateful to be a channel for that. If you are watching this video, I just want to say thank you so much. This is my first ever video on YouTube, and I really appreciate it because I know that there's a lot of videos to choose from, and you trusted your intuition and gave this channel a try. So let's take a look at the piles and crystals. So if you chose pile 1 or the rhodonite crystal pile, the card that you selected says you are growing and evolving all the time. The message that's trying to come across here is that the healing journey is not a destination, that it's not like a one-way street. Like, okay, I'm healed now all my blessings and harvests and miracles can come in now. And I feel like the message that's coming through simply in this card alone is that you feel that if you could only fix yourself or figure out what's that other thing that you don't recognize or realize is holding you back from everything, then finally everything can be better. And I mean, I understand the logic in that, because if you believe in the whole axiom as above so below, you recognize that the way you are inside is, or your world outside is a reflection of inside. However, what your spirit team wants to communicate to you is that yes, healing is important. Yes, the journey is super important for your life, but at the same time, you don't need to earn your way to receive all the love that's available for you right now. And something I want to say is that, like, I'm not trying to come across as preachy, because this message is for me too. However, I'm just telling you what I hear. So I think my spirit team's in here too. So I have all your cards laid out in front of me. And let's take a look at your tarot cards now. So we have the Three of Cups, the Seven of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups reverse, Six of Cups. This was the bottom of the deck card. So, and then beneath the Three of Cups, as a clarifier card, we had the Five of Swords. You probably can't see any of these, but I'm gonna just try my best just in case. Like I said, first video ever, so figuring it out. The Ace of Pentacles beneath the Seven of Pentacles, and Judgment as a clarifier for the Ace of Cups reverse. So after we go through your tarot cards, we're going to take a look at your oracle cards. All right. So, oops, I had an extra card here. Let's put it back. All right, back. So for your tarot cards, the message that's coming through here is that you may be feeling pretty tired at this point, that you sometimes reminisce. You have like bittersweet feelings about the past. Like you may reminisce on how amazing certain people or certain comforts were in the past. For example, let's say you had a well-paying job that was in alignment with your purpose, but then you decide to trust your intuition, go all in, leave the corporate job, if that happened to be the case. And now you're like struggling to make ends meet. Or let's say you had some friends that you had great times with, always liked, made jokes with each other, had fun, went on different events, traveled, whatever. However, you realized that they weren't really quality friends. They were talking trash about you behind your back, or a relationship that wasn't healthy, a romantic relationship that is. So sometimes you're like, oh man, those days were nice. And the thing is that you took that leap of faith and you decided to move on and go beyond what was familiar. Trust your instinct, trust your intuition, the messages that your spirit team was communicating to you. However, what you gave up has not been replaced yet. And you've put in so much work. Like, I don't know if you can tell or not, but this guy, he looks tired in this card. And he's just like, ugh, what's going on? And because you haven't really seen the replacements of what you gave up, for some of you, not all, it's like two groups coming through. You're like really putting in effort into a lot of things, different seeds, hoping, okay, will this seed plant? Will this one plant? Okay, well, this one's not sprouting yet, so let me try something else. And you're kind of scattering your energy. And then for others of you, you're just putting in a lot of work towards one thing, but you're just kind of like, all right, I'm exhausted. When's my blessings going to come through? And the thing about this card is that there's actually like a glowing pentacle beneath the figure in the card. And I think what this card is trying to like communicate, or what your spirit team is trying to communicate through this card, is that don't forget about your value. Yes, take action. Excuse me. But don't forget that everything has value because you're the one behind it. And that's not the only message, but that's one of the messages coming through. And I feel like with the Ace of Pentacles beneath this card as a clarifier, that you will have your blessings come in. However, notice how, I wish you could see closer, but I'll stop saying that. Notice how he's just kind of like stuck there, like, okay, you gonna grow yet? All right, I'm putting in the work. But it's like watching a pot of water boil. It's not the most enjoyable experience. Or let's say you did plant a seed. Can you imagine just like watching the dirt nonstop, or all the seeds you planted, and just waiting? And what your spirit team wants to communicate to you is that to also enjoy life. Yes, take action, but also don't stay stagnant or feel like, okay, maybe I did something wrong. You can trust you did the right thing. This is reassurance that you did the right thing. However, with this Ace of Cups reverse card, what I'm getting is that it's important for, or it is being advised for you to release some of these denser emotions that you're still holding on to. It's like, this card just has like so many messages in it, but it's like he's holding on to the stick. So like, even though he is getting out of his comfort zone, he's putting in the work, but he's also a bit stagnant, and he's still holding on to something that's in his comfort zone. And I feel like it's kind of like holding on to the past. And you might be wondering, well, if I let go of so many things, how am I still holding on to the past? And I think it's through like this reminiscent energy of, oh, I really wish that I could still have, some of the comforts and luxuries of the past that I gave up. And why isn't any of this working? Did I do the right thing? Is this even gonna grow? Like, what's the point? Like, that type of feeling is actually kind of like blocking or not having room for you to receive some of that blessing. So it's not about you needing to work really hard. Yes, we need to balance our divine feminine with our divine masculine, which is receiving energy and taking action. But don't forget that action also happens from within, and allowing yourself to feel those emotions. Grieve. It's okay to grieve and be like, and by the way, if you see the candles going crazy, it's not because like it's some sort of bad sign. I have the air on, or the AC on, so it's just blowing right now. But it's not something for you to feel bad about or guilty about, like, oh, I should be better now, like I'm fine, I'm over it. Yes, you can keep your eye in the future while still releasing energies of the past. In fact, until you release the energies of the past, it would be hard for you to even step into the future. Everything you want is already here. And that's a reminder for myself too, like I said earlier. But once again, if I'm holding on to these two candles, which you can't hold on, which you can't see on camera, but now you can. Let's say I'm holding on to this and you try to give me something else to hold, I can't take it because my hands are full. So put that down, release it. And I know, like with manifesting, at least for me, sometimes I get terrified, like, okay, so if feelings communicate to the universe or to God, you know, how, like what I want to bring in, or this, like if I'm going to bring more of those feelings, won't it be terrible if I feel more fear or more grief or more sadness or more whatever, or anger? The thing is that it's all about the intention behind the energy. So if you are feeling fear with the intention of letting it go, again, not adding fuel to the fire, meaning that you aren't just like, let's say you have a fearful thought, you're not, or you have an emotion of fear, you aren't adding thoughts of like just random fantasies about anything that could happen, like, oh my gosh, like this could happen, that can happen, this, like that's not fueling your emotion, that's also fueling the emotion. You can recognize it, see it, and not identify with it, but still be present with it, right? So, and this can be very challenging, especially if you're an empath and you like absorb other people's energies. So like if you are feeling an emotion, then sometimes you think it's you, the things that you're not your emotion. I think it's important to remember your true divinity, and the truth about you is that your true identity is not based on flesh or how you think or what you feel. It's what never changes. So if feelings and thoughts are fleeting, then that means those are just experiences, not who you are. So if I go to Disney World, it doesn't mean I'm Disney World. It means I'm experiencing Disney World. Hope that helps. Okay, so yeah, with the judgment calls, like recognize or make the judgment call on like what you want to feel. You can, I know it can feel so overwhelming sometimes to have emotions that are just overbearing and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? This feels like it's consuming me. I hate feeling, especially our society teaches us that it's not really good to feel. But it's okay. Like if you don't have anyone around you to understand like what you're going through emotionally, it's okay to seek someone else out for that you can talk to, whether it's online or in person, or to know who and what or how much you can share with people, because that's another thing too. Sometimes when you are making progress, we may have people around us who sometimes pull us back into old patterns of thinking. Okay, so next, moving on to your oracle cards, we have transformation, trust, and opportunity. So with the transformation card, I'm getting so many messages that are coming through. So the first messages coming through with this card is that, like the rose and like a butterfly, the transformation didn't happen overnight. And I know this is probably like the most like cliche thing you've heard, especially recently if you're watching a lot of these pick a cards or trying to like, you know, just seek information to add, give you any sort of comfort during this transformative time. But I mean, it's a popular example for a reason. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, I shouldn't assume, But the beauty of the rose and the butterfly didn't happen within seconds. If this person was in the Seven of Pentacles card, was looking at the transformation for these, they're going to be really bored. It's almost like watching paint dry. Because even, let's say, the seed for a rose, or I don't know any of these things. So let's say a seed grows into a flower, and finally it's like out of the dirt, you have a little, we call it sprout. Then eventually a bud grows. It takes some time before it even opens or blooms. So be gentle with yourself, have compassion, and trust that the work that was started on you or in you will be completed. And also trust in what you have invested your energy in. Trust your journey, trust your intuition, trust your journey. I just said journey twice, but it's okay. And I see that here with the moon in this card. And with the opportunity card in the moon, I feel like for some of you, maybe some of you are still in a very stagnant energy because you're kind of exhausted from all the changes. I hear you on that. But like, it's okay to rest, but also when you're ready, take action and create your own opportunities. However, when you take, it's not saying like you're on your own and you're not being supported by your spirit team. Your spirit team like came through very clearly and wanted me to communicate that you're not alone in this. But when you create some of your own opportunities, it makes it easier for you to receive. All right, almost done. I just want to go to the Sacred Creators Oracle, and I'm just going to ask for one card. Ooh. Okay, that was quick. And just get the message coming through to wrap up your reading. And yours is find your sacred flow. And what I'm getting with this is like, don't follow the flow of other people's, or don't compare your journey with the journey of others. Sometimes it may seem like, well, this person has their boyfriend or marriage or whatever, or this person, they have their dream job, or this person's reaping so many financial benefits. When's my turn? Don't worry about anyone else's journey. You also don't know what's going behind the scenes. Maybe for one person, they may have had a financial breakthrough. Sorry, I keep holding the camera. Maybe for one person, they may have had a financial breakthrough, but then they are still struggling in their relationships. Not everyone communicates everything. And it's okay. Like, just be happy for them and trust that your time will come through. So I just want to read just a general message for this. I'm going to do that for all the piles. So let me read yours. Okay. Your sacred flow, each one of those words is powerful medicine for your creator spirit. Tune into your own rhythm and actively schedule your own unique sacred flow into everyday life. This may mean stopping to nap, exercise, or meditate during the day if that's what makes your heart sing. It may mean scheduling something sacred into your planner, something epic even. What makes you feel alive and in flow with this world? Are you leaving time for that thing? If something is encroaching on your flow time, you may need to set clear boundaries and prioritize a sacred break. Be sure you aren't giving up your personal space so that someone else can benefit. Don't be a martyr. This space is desperately needed for you to find your center. If you are feeling pressure to make an important decision right now is not the time to give an answer you aren't completely sure of. Go with the flow of not knowing. Sleep on it. Surrender to not having all the answers and know that everything will be revealed when you gift yourself the space of distance, stillness, and perspective. Okay. And a few questions for consideration are: when have you lost yourself in doing instead of thinking? What activity has made you get into the flowing state of Zen and just being? How do you get into that secret zone? That place where time stands still and everything else fades away. If you were to flip your opinion on its head, what perspective would you be gifted? yeah. That, I feel like that was a mic drop for your the end of your reading. It also reminded me of the other message I wanted to communicate with the transformation card, is that like you're not just moving in a different direction. Your transformation is more authentic, and it's like healing your throat and solar plexus, like, what do you call it? Oh my god, chakras. And I feel like maybe some of the tower moments you had happened because it wasn't built off of your authenticity, or maybe you didn't have confidence in what you're doing. But now this is an opportunity to like really bless and relish every moment, so that way you can truly build something solid this time around. And I recognize how hard it can be to really accept certain circumstances, especially if they're very troubling and they're stressful. But the counterintuitive thing about it is that when you are willing to accept, that's when everything changes. And even though it's simple, it's not easy all the time. But when you're able to surrender and just say, you know what, this is what I'm working with, and assuming the situation doesn't change, am I going to give my power away to whatever's going on around me and declare that I won't be okay or happy until I'm miserable? Let go of that. And I just held up the Ace of Cups reverse, since I know I'm not able to zoom in. I don't know how to do any of this stuff yet. So that is the end of your reading, pile number 1. If you chose multiple piles, awesome. I'll see you there. If this is where your time with me ends for now, I hope you enjoyed your reading. Please leave a comment or click the like button if you enjoyed it, and share it with someone who you think, share this video with someone who you think it could benefit. And oh, obviously, if you are interested in seeing more videos like this and learning about esoteric knowledge, and I'm going to do a lot of interesting teachings, subscribe to the channel. However, do not smash the like button. I mean, the subscribe button. Gently click it. Not too hard. It's too much smashing, and I just need to change that. So thank you so much, and I love you. Bye. If you chose pile number 2, or this beautiful lapis lazuli tower, this is your message. Okay, so I feel like it's very possible that many of you were drawn also to pile number 1, because there's very similar messages coming through. However, there is one significant thing that delineates the message for pile 1 and your pile, but I'll explain more. So the first one says, "Oh, the places we have been and the places we will go." So what your spirit team wants to communicate, just in case you didn't watch pile 1 and you're watching this now, I have a very strong AC apparently, and it's on, so if you see the candles blowing really fast, it's not because there's like some weird warning going on, it's just that it's the air. But back to your reading. So what I'm getting with this is that you are also on, or have been on, a very long journey as well. And that, yeah, you have been through a lot. And I feel like a lot of you are very tired, frustrated, a little exhausted. Maybe you've seen some breakthroughs here and there, but not enough to really excite you and be like, yes, it's game time. Everything that I knew in my heart's already here. Maybe you've had about that. My camera stopped. So I feel like that's kind of significant. It's like almost saying that you feel like you've hit your max. And I hear you. That kind of like goes back to the message I was saying earlier, like you've been through it, been through the wire. It's a Kanye song reference. But because you feel so exhausted, you're kind of holding on to, you're kind of like, how do I say this? Your guides or your spirit team wants you to know that you're kind of like resisting the complete transformation that's intended to happen for you at this time. So it's like, because it doesn't happen fast enough for you, you'd rather just kind of like linger here. So like imagine, that was a great example, spirit teams. So imagine like you're on a road trip and you're heading from coast to coast, whatever country you're on or you're in, and you're on the road and you hit some traffic. And you're like, okay, I'll make the best out of this, and I'm just gonna exit off the highway and I'm going to, you know, check out the outlets, like go shopping maybe, or have lunch somewhere. And like, it sounds like a great idea because you're like, it's been a long trip, I'm halfway through the country, I have so much more to go, this seems like a good time to take a break. And it's good to take breaks. However, the thought of like completing the rest of the journey seems exhausting. And maybe for a lot of you, you're the only one in the car. And even though you're not, let's say you're not in an exciting town, it's kind of boring. And it's like, ugh, this isn't great. But the thought of getting back in the car and being stuck in traffic again just seems so icky and abhorrent to you. So you're like, no thank you, I'm just gonna wait a little longer, because last time I checked there was terrible traffic. But the thing is that you're not on the road, and let's remove the possibility that you can check out the traffic conditions in this example, because you don't know for sure how long your journey is going to be for your transformation. It's going to vary for everyone, and there may be some like great breakthroughs that happen beforehand. But based on, let's continue off this analogy. If you allow yourself to get back in the car and just go on the road, you might be surprised. Maybe there's still traffic. Maybe the traffic's clear and you can zoom through, or maybe it's very slow. But you'll never know until you get there. And the thing is that even if the traffic is moving very slowly, you will be so much closer to getting to your destination if you leave now than if you just wonder or just assume that the journey is going to take too long and just stay wherever you are. Hopefully that clarifies the point I was trying to make. So, the places you have been, or we have been, and the places we will go. You have places to go, but don't get stuck. So what I'm going to do next is dive a little bit deeper into your tarot cards, and then I'm going to go over a few oracle cards and do a live shuffle of just one card, just to kind of wrap up everything. So you won't be able to see the cards very well because I don't understand this whole camera setup yet, but we have Death Reverse, as I showed you earlier. Beneath that we have the Star, we have the Eight of Pentacles, we have the Wheel of Fortune, Temperance Reverse, the Hanged Woman, and the Six of Cups for the bottom of the deck card that came through. And then, yeah, let me finish explaining this first. So yeah, with this Death Reverse card, with the Hope or the Star card beneath it, I feel I'm hearing very strongly from your spirit team is that they recognize that you still do have hope. So you're not like, you haven't given up on the journey altogether. However, you're also kind of like dreading the rest of it because it has been so long. But the thing is that like you're prolonging the next destination. I mean, the time it takes until you get to the next destination. And with the Eight of Pentacles, I feel like, what I'm hearing is that like you're being encouraged to work on maybe a talent or a dream or a creative pursuit. However, it just seems like, okay, let's say you're like me, because a lot of these messages are connecting with me as well. I'm also talking to myself. Let's say you're like me, brand new YouTube channel, you're putting in all this time, you have so many things that you have to do, you don't know what the result's going to be. What if the only views you get is just from yourself, you know? Or like you don't feel like you're going to make a difference, or you feel like, oh my gosh, I wish I got started a long time ago. Like, had I started when I first had this idea, maybe I would have had a bit more traction going on. Oh my gosh, like how do I figure out a schedule for all this stuff? Will I be able to like consistently do it? Things that just like embrace it. Do you enjoy it? Do you want to do it? Is it something you want to do? And I also heard the term inner child. And the importance of that is, like, imagine you had a child, if you don't have one. Or let's say you do have a child in the 3D. And they said, Mom or Dad, I really want to try baseball, right? Or softball, whatever, some sport. I'll say basketball. Let's say I really want to try basketball. Would you tell a child, I mean, like, you've never played before, are you going to be good? Or like, oh my gosh, like, it's going to be too much of a hassle. You know, can you just be okay? Like, you haven't, like, everyone else around your age, you got started way earlier. It's too late in the game. You can't start now. Like, just deal with it. Or maybe one day you could be in the NBA, but we're not going to take the steps that it will take for you to gain the skills and have the experience for you to eventually have that be a possibility for you. Just daydream about it. That's good enough, right? That would be like an abusive thing to do, would you say? I hope no one's doing that to their actual children. However, many of us are doing it to our inner child. We just say, so many other people are doing it. Going back to the kid analogy, so many kids around the US or the globe, they're playing basketball. You haven't even started yet. It's too late. Just sit down and be humble. More rappers. Okay, maybe there's someone who wants to rap that's in here, or a group of people, I don't know, but I'm not used to making so many rap analogies. But the thing is that with this Wheel of Fortune card, it's here to say that, like, the way you start will not be the way you end, or will not be the way it, will not look the same in a year or 2 or 3. So just don't give up. Just like create, enjoy it. Just do it for you. Do it for your inner child. Do it for your own creative, artistic expression. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be creative. What if it's saving, right? Like, oh my gosh, like maybe for some people they're in so much debt and they can't even imagine a future where they're going to have like money aside to put away for something that's not required of them right now. But like, if you just start small, just say, you know what? I deserve at least $5 a week. For some people, that's all they can do. Or maybe even 50 cents. But the thing is, if you commit to that, let's say $5 a week, that's $20 a month, or whatever your currency may be. But the things that'll add up. And if you commit to not touching that for a while, you're going to see it grow. And then, like, energetically, it's going to shift so many other things for you. And you'll have this sense of pride, like, okay, maybe I'm not a billionaire yet, but I am capable of saving. I'm a saver. I'm not someone who just like lives from, catastrophe to catastrophe. I save. And who cares if maybe you used to save a lot more and you can't because of different circumstances at this moment? Start here, start now. And the way you begin, like I said, will not be the way you end. So going back to our cross-country destination, let's say you're in a coastal town. I guess in this end, if we're going cross, I mean, depending on the country. Let's say if you're in a town that's like, very coastal and everything, the beginning of your journey, you might end up in a town that's very mountainous, So the journey is not always going to look the same, even though it could seem very overwhelming to like have to start from scratch. Okay, so with this Temperance card reverse and the Hanged Woman beneath it, I'm getting that like, if you're wondering what's blocking you from this new reality that you want to quantum jump into, it's actually you. And it's not to make you feel bad. It's just to be more of a wake-up call to be like, hey, you have more power than you realize. You can make a difference. You can change your reality, but it also involves action. So if you want to be a movie star, take an acting lesson. Or maybe allow yourself to memorize a short script or a monologue. Or like I said, you can start saving even 50 cents a week. I won't even laugh at that because like so many people have no savings at all. And I mean, no judgment there, but 50 cents is sometimes the best people can do. And if that's the best you can do, that's fine. But if you do that, it'll be way better than not doing anything at all. Okay. So next, moving on to your oracle cards, we have Willing Release, the Oracle's Gift, and the Beautiful Uncaging. And what I'm seeing with this is that, so dandelions, they, people say, oh, when you see a dandelion, grab one and blow it and make a wish. Don't just look at it, make a wish, take action, blow it. So the act of blowing in this illustration is like taking action, or that first step. Don't just look at it like, oh wow, this would be cool, this is what this is for. Knowledge is not power when it's not applied. So think of like, even from a Newtonian physics perspective, which is like, action versus action potential, or energy, potential energy, or energy versus potential energy. I didn't clearly state that. It's like all energy is potential unless there's a force on it. So be that force in your life. You are being invited or advised by your spirit team to do so. And the thing is that like, with the Oracle's Gift card, what I'm getting here is that you're going to be so surprised by what happens when you do begin to take action. Maybe let's say in the beginning, or even a while. Like, I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, if you want a specific reading, then that's a different statement. But yeah, you don't know how long it's going to take. But like, you have a gift, and it's very important. And even if it just impacts one people, or you just do it for yourself, or one person, not one people, one person, or you just do it for yourself, that's valid enough. But what I feel in my heart and what your spirit team's telling me is that it's going to be way more than one person, so don't worry. And then with Beautiful Uncaging, is that allow yourself to open your heart, allow yourself to dream big and take action, not just like hope and wait like, well, I've seen so many readings that said that I was going to have these opportunities come through, and I was meant to be this and that, and I'm going to have like a name for myself. And I'm not saying those readings aren't true. However, I think this is just a theory, or what I'm hearing as well, is that like, you are the key to all that being unlocked. So when you open your heart, you share it with others. You don't just keep it in. Because like, love is to give, right? And also to receive, because you have to feel safe enough to receive. But if your heart is locked, as seen in this image, then no one's getting and no one's receiving, and we just have like a lot of potential being wasted. I don't know why I started to put this away. Oh, something else that I wanted to say. When I was shuffling these cards, I accidentally dropped your deck, and a commercial came to mind that I used to see like a long time ago. And it was like the ones for those buttons for the elderly. And whenever people would like, I think it's like Life Alert or something. And it'd be like an elderly woman. She's like, I've fallen and I can't get up. And I think that's very relevant in your message coming through. Is that some of you may be feeling like, oh my gosh, I've experienced such a huge setback. I don't know how to get back up again. But what your spirit team wants for you to know is that you do have what it takes. And you can take small steps to get there. Okay. I don't know why I want to put these away. Like I'm just starting to put them away. So put away the story. Create a new one. Alright, so to wrap up your reading, let's go with this deck and see. I'm just going to pull one card or have one card come out. And, oh. So it's coming up. So, very interesting. I'm going to reference this one because I felt like looking it below, and I didn't do that for the previous group, so that's important. So, here we have manifesting and doing, and what's your honest truth. So what is your true belief about the situation? If you really believed that all these amazing breakthroughs that are intended to come through to you were meant to come through, then how would you live differently? For example, if you believe that you're meant to have a successful business, I know different opportunities can come through, but however, are you allowing yourself to even like Google like ideas as to how to get started? Even if it's like looking up how to start a LLC, or are you looking up like, are you beginning to think about your ideal customer, for example? I mean, even if you don't have like some of the funds or like some of the resources to get started, what small steps are you taking to show like this is what I want to the universe or God or however you want to refer to it, to the divine? So yes, you're doing a lot of manifesting and you're very powerful manifestors, but don't forget doing. So when it comes to manifesting, it's about our emotions, our thoughts, and also our actions, and that's what creates our reality. And I'm going to conclude your reading by just reading the book summary for What's Your Honest Truth for your pile. All right. We hold on to many layers of truth. Truths we learned from our parents, the ones we've learned during lived experiences, and the ones that our ego holds on to in order to lovingly protect us from the world. You've outgrown a layer, and it's time to do some shedding in order to curate the best framework for your future. At the base of all your learned truths lie a different sort of true and underlying true essence, and this core foundation is refusing to be quieted or ignored any longer. You will hear it clearly now, as an old truth has become too small for your expanding life. Perhaps a soul purpose, a sacred contract, or destiny is unveiling your true or honest truth. Perhaps it's reminding you now that you're here for a reason. When you strip it all down to the soul, what work are you being called to do? And why are you here at this time? So a few questions for consideration are: do you believe soul purposes can change and evolve over time? What were you doing the last time you felt insecure or inauthentic? And what did you do or think to create that situation? How do you feel when you're most authentically you? Is there a negative belief about yourself or your abilities that is holding you back? A story about your circumstance? How can you tap into the infinite nature of your soul and shift your thinking on this? And I think this is the second mic drop that the spirit teams today are dropping. So I feel like that perfectly concludes your message. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video, hearing the beautiful messages and guidance intended for you to hear from your spirit team. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, and also leave a comment and consider subscribing. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I plan on adding way more videos and teachings about metaphysics and doing more pick a cards. I'm super excited. So if it's any consolation, I was very much in this energy, and this is me taking that small step to move forward. So let's grow together, and I love you. Okay, if you chose pile number 3 or the fluorite point tower crystal, then this is your reading. So your first card says, fall in love again and again with the world. Have you fallen out of love with life at times, or some aspects of life? And I feel what your spirit team is trying to communicate through this card is that it's safe to fall in love again and again. So if you have had your heart broken, not just by another person, but also just by disappointments. Let's say you're working on a project and it didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work, or a business, anything that you thought was going to turn to something great and it didn't for one reason or another. Your spirit team is here to communicate to you that it's safe to love again and to fall in love as many times as you feel necessary. Don't allow your past to hold you back from falling in love with something new that can happen in the future. So for your tarot cards, or we're going to start off, if you haven't watched any previous piles, the way we're going to go about this, we're going to take a look at your tarot cards first, and then we have just a small group of oracle cards afterwards, and then I'm going to do a live shuffle of one more oracle card to wrap up and tie in your entire reading. So this video is probably on the shorter side compared to what I intend to do in the future, but it's okay, we're doing it. So first we have the Empress card, and beneath the Empress card, let me show you. You probably won't be able to see any details from here, but I'm just going to do it anyways. Then we have the Nine of Swords. Beneath it as a clarifier. Next to the Empress card we have the Ace of Swords. And then beneath that card we have the Page of Swords as a clarifier. Then we have Seven of Wands and the Five of Wands beneath it. And the bottom of the deck card we have the Knight of Cups reverse. After I touched the Knight of Cups card, I heard, allow yourself, wow, it's weird, fall in love again and again. Allow yourself to have new emotional beginnings and endings. That's what came through. So with this Empress card, what's really unique about it is that the Empress card, she's like, you know, I mean, the most powerful woman in the deck. She is associated with like fertility and femininity. However, in this particular deck, she has, I don't know, it could look like some sort of weapon in one hand, and on the other hand is like a shield. And I think that, like, when we think about people who have weapons and shields. Those are people who go into battle. But if you're trying to birth something new, it's probably not best to go into battle, because you can harm what's trying to be birthed. So, for example, if we're looking at the military, we wouldn't think it would be a great idea to send a pregnant woman into combat. However, what I'm getting with this Empress card, especially the way it's depicted, is that your spirit team wants you to know that you are kind of embodying both energies. Yes, you should be proud of yourself for being strong, but at the same time, remember who you are and know your role. Not in a bad way, but in a way of like, she doesn't need to have this shield and sword to be powerful. She's powerful because of who she is. And it's interesting because we have like the 5 of Wands and 7 of Wands card coming up later. But I feel like those like definitely indicate like struggle and battle and fighting. And what I'm getting with this Ace of Swords card here is that important for you to like choose what you want. Do you want to fight or do you want to receive? So allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself like to receive love again by putting your guard down. It doesn't mean to go into life naively or to throw out all the wisdom gained from the past, but wisdom isn't the same as defensiveness. And before I go to the clarifier card for the Empress, I actually want to discuss like the Page of Swords here. So like, allow yourself to have a fresh perspective. Use the wisdom that you gained from the past to move forward. And when you put down your guard, it's easier for you to receive, right? Her hands are full. If someone's trying to hand her anything, she's not going to be able to receive it. And I feel like a lot of these messages kind of overlap with each other. So there's something, a lot of common threads for the collective. And the interesting thing is that the common theme is around like the past. And like, she's kind of like stuck in her head. So she's like, oh, I hope this happens. Like, I feel like she's praying, she's hoping, but she's also worrying at the same time. So having, okay. Those are the way those two energies may be manifesting for some of you. It may be that like, maybe you're doing a manifestation ritual or you're scripting or visualizing the future that you want. But at the same time, you're worrying that it's not going to happen because of past disappointments. So you have to choose what you want to do. Do you want to serve the mental agony that like is demanding or like trying to pull on your attention? Or are you willing to live in faith and let your guard down? And it's interesting here how this woman, she's also wearing like green. And the Empress in this card is wearing green. And the green color, the color green represents, in often spiritual terms, is like for the heart chakra. So can you let down your guard and have faith and trust and love enough so you are able to receive everything that you're manifesting and praying for? Because what I'm getting is that it's here, but it's kind of like blocking. And with these, like, again, this is super sorry. I'm so sorry. I will figure out this camera situation eventually. But like, she has like all these little dots and circles around her. And I feel like all the energy is around her. But she's just like, I need to hold on to something. I don't know what's going on. And she's like almost like blocking it. Almost like, let's say it's coming. It's like, boom. It's like pinging off and going away. I hope you got that illustration. But if you didn't, it's okay. Leave in the comments and I can try to address it. So, when I see this like Page of Swords, I see like childlike faith. That's what I heard. And it's not, once again, not encouraging you to be naive or anything, but like, and please excuse me if I know the Bible references for some people may be triggering, but I mean, it used to be for me. But there's actually so much wisdom and value that can be gained from it from a metaphysical perspective. There's a lot of occult meanings in the Bible, which I will be discussing in other videos in the future. So if you're into that, another reason to subscribe. But with the sword on the dragon here, I kind of am getting like David and Goliath vibes. So Goliath is like, in case you don't know, this huge giant kind of like taunting the Israelites, and then like everyone's like intimidated by him and his army and the army that he's fighting with, I guess. And then there's David, who's like a little shepherd boy, not even acknowledged by his potential's not even acknowledged by his father or family. They're just kind of like, why are you here? Shouldn't you be out there like playing with your sheep or something? And then he's like, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Nothing against any uncircumcised people, but that's what he says. And he takes something as simple as a stone and a slingshot and kills him and wins. So even though he was the least likely of candidates to overcome something so grand from the perspective of many people, the people there, he believed in himself enough. He had trust in his experience, because if you are familiar with this particular story in the Bible, he had experiences killing other animals. So even though it wasn't Goliath or he never fought in war, he could turn to those past experiences to be like, well, I was able to do this and that and I survived this, so why can't I do this? And I feel like your spirit team is guiding you to do the same. Look back, not because of your past, or look back at your past, not because it's like challenging or like, oh my God, I'm such like, woe's me. And it's okay to have compassion, but compassion is very different than having a victim mentality. And that term used to really trigger me, because I'm like, I'm not a victim, like no one's acknowledging me. But once again, it's all about the mindset. Compassion for oneself is way more empowering. It's recognizing the challenges and, you know, being gentle with yourself and meeting yourself where you are, not trying to force anything on yourself. And victim mentality is staying stuck and seeing yourself as being wronged and unable to move forward because of outer circumstances. And the thing is that when you keep your guard up, you are maintaining that need to protect yourself. And if you need to protect yourself, that means that there's threats out there, right? Of course, it's good to protect yourself, but also trust yourself enough to be able to move forward. So for any of you who are feeling stuck and may want to experience newness, or are waiting for something to be birthed into your life, your spirit team is advising or suggesting to you to release some of these, release the guard. Boundaries are good, but walls are not. Nothing can go through that, you know? And allow yourself to have a fresh perspective. So, yeah. I just heard, again, like, let go of the emotions. Allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to recognize your pain. And when you do that, again, not wallow in it or add fuel to the fire, but be present with yourself and acknowledge that. But once again, recognize that you are not those emotions. And I say once again because I mentioned it in previous piles, but like, you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts. You are a divine being that is never changing, Alpha and Omega. You're not fleeting, like all those things that may spur within you and is actually needing to be released at this time. But I'm sending you a huge hug. This is me hugging you, hugging everyone, because I can really see that for a lot of you that yeah, I've been through a lot, and I have so much compassion for you, because life demands that you keep moving on, and it's so easy to feel like, did any of this matter? Did my pain or experience ever matter? And it's so hard to forgive the past if you feel like it's unacknowledged. But that's why it's not important for other people to acknowledge your pain. It's important for, I mean, it's nice, it's good, it's ideal, it's loving, but we can't control that. And although it is a human need to connect and to feel understood and comforted, I don't think that's even going to be possible if you don't give that to yourself first. I'm not saying you only need it from yourself, but it's important that you give it to yourself first. Alright, I just feel like putting away these cards too. I happened with the last pile too. I didn't want to have this around. This is old energies, put in the past, we're done. I don't want to see it anymore. Again, this doesn't need to be a rushed process. Like, it's not like your spirit team is saying, oh, hurry up and move on so you get the blessings. Be gentle with yourself. Okay, so for your oracle cards, we have the return, a new story, you decide, alignment, it's coming together. Can't see it, but I'm going to turn it around anyways. The rose garden, innocence, forgiveness, be gentle with yourself. We just talked about that. And the crowning, initiation, threshold, birth, rebirth, a seat at the table. Wow. It's interesting because I didn't read any of the book descriptions for any of the oracle groupings or oracle pile groups for the previous two, but I really feel strongly encouraged to not only read your last oracle card when I do the live shuffle, but this crowning card. But first, let's see what, let's discuss what's coming through first. So the return, a new story, you decide, alignment, it's coming together. I feel like it's very simply stated and very relevant to the previous messages that came through. Create a new story. You decide how the rest goes. It may not always seem that way, but it's all coming together based on how you align. And even though you didn't get to choose how it started, step into your power and choose how it will end for you, or what you will and will not accept. Say, okay, I will not accept, oh my god, I can't say the word all of a sudden, accept. And you know, I'm realizing maybe for some of you it is hard to accept things as they are right now. Once again, like the previous pile. Or I can't remember if it's pile 1 or pile 2. But it's just like, it's hard to accept what doesn't seem pleasurable, it doesn't seem ideal. But when you accept, you can detach. And when you detach, you can receive. So if you don't like your current story, think about what you'd like your new story to look like. What is your role in that story or in that script, right? Not just in a, oh, let me write about it and not embody it, but what do you want to embody? And get clear on it. Next we have the rose garden, innocence, forgiveness, be gentle with yourself. And again, like, just because the message of creating a new story and you decide it's all coming together, is like, it's not your spirit team saying, you need to just figure it out. You are so supported, you are loved, and there's an innocence to you because we are going through this earthly experience and there's so much that we don't know. However, the rose garden card, or the message being communicated through it by your spirit team, is that it's important to forgive yourself too. And I feel like this is not the first time you've heard this message. You've heard to forgive yourself. So what exactly does that mean? It means that if you have any feelings of guilt that are still within your energetic body, allow yourself to feel it and release it and let it go. And I mentioned this previously as well, but if you're afraid of feeling some of those denser emotions because you're like, what if I manifest more of it? It's all about the intention behind it. So if your intention is to let it go, then it's different than suppressing it and keeping it stuck in the unconscious, aka the subconscious which does some manifesting work for you. But when the unconscious becomes conscious, it's an opportunity for you to make a change. And be gentle with yourself. Sometimes it's like, okay, I don't want to feel guilt, or I don't want to feel regrets, or I don't want to feel grief. I don't want to feel any of these things. But don't judge it. It's okay to feel it. Isn't that weird? Like oftentimes we're taught like not to, oh, you shouldn't feel this way. It's okay. It's okay to feel. And when we say we shouldn't, it's like almost like a scolding, like you're doing something wrong. And that's why you need to forgive yourself and allow yourself to feel. Give yourself the opportunity to feel without judgment. Give yourself the opportunity to receive the compassion and gentleness that you may not have received from others, especially those that you have experienced some disappointments with. And next, with the crowning, initiations, thresholds, birth, rebirth, a seat at the table. So for some of you, I feel like once again this card is totally giving me Empress card vibes that came up. So like a lot of you may have experienced a lot of confusion. So like, I feel like I did everything I was supposed to do. I trusted my intuition, or I followed everything that I felt like my heart was guiding me to do, but I feel like everything crumbled. But that's a good thing because you wanted something huge and new, right? I mean, I am not trying to oversimplify and call it a good thing, like, oh, it's a good thing that your life fell apart. It's not easy. I'm also there with you. But consider it an initiation, you know? Like that's part of the experience for people who are making significant spiritual changes and growth, and who are going and surpassing levels that even their ancestors never got to previously. And it's challenging, it's unfamiliar, and that's why it is so important for you to be gentle with yourself. But don't forget how worthy you are. So if you're feeling heartbroken at the fact that you weren't accepted, you didn't have a seat at the table, maybe you experienced some rejection and now it's leading into issues of worthiness, the table that couldn't receive you didn't have enough to give you. So that's why it's important for you to see it for what it is and accept that that was the case. That was the best they can do. I mean, a table that doesn't have any space, that doesn't have the capacity to invite others to it, that doesn't have the resources to do it. And even though it may seem that way because they're giving it to other people at the table, that just means that it's okay to walk away from that table. Don't try to beg and sit there. That means that there's another even greater table where there is space, where there is abundance, and there is more love and more capacity to fill with love compared to what was experienced at the old table. So, of course, way easier said than done, but it's okay to walk away. So let me read the card meaning for this one, and then let's do the life shuffle. Oh my gosh, where is it? I never ever look into these things. How does this work? Give me a sec. Okay, here it is. Okay. There comes a time when a flower knows they can no longer remain in the protective constraints of the bud. Somehow it needs to trust in the birthing energy and surrender to the unknown of the bloom. The same birthing energy exists within all nature and in birth, both physical and metaphorical. It is an initiation for the mother as well as the child, who transitions from the water world of the womb to a whole new one on earth. This is a card of crossing thresholds and walking through the gates of initiation, which requires great courage and faith. There are rolling contractions, and it's almost always not straightforward. As we transition from one thing to another, we're called to burst through the constraints of the seed and then the certainty of the bud, so that something new can bloom from within. We're always birthing something And deep inside, we know that the only way to surrender to the initiation is to surrender to the innate power within. The power is inner, but it's also connected with the intelligence that exists within all life. It's the same energy that tells flowers when to bloom, and it was present when you grew in your mother's womb. Trust in that. It will carry you through. Surrender to what is wanting to be born through you. Life is always trying to initiate us into even more of who we truly are. And the soul inquiry for this card is, how is life trying to initiate you? I feel like that's pretty straightforward. Not much more to say there. Okay, so let's conclude your reading with a shuffle from the Sacred Creators Oracle. Definitely one of my favorite oracle decks. Everything will be, I'll try to link as many in the bio as I can. All right, so we have the good kind. So as I look at this card, I'm kind of feeling that the message trying to come through to wrap up everything is that, like, I think some of you have very strong expectations, but it's like you're expecting, or you might be expecting something negative to happen. Like, you have mixed feelings, like I said. Like, on one end, you are expecting this amazing breakthrough. I'm sure if you're watching other tarot readings or pick a card videos or whatever, like, or even in your heart, you know that something great's going to come through for you. But at the same time, you may have concerns that something bad is going to happen. It's like almost like you have it like memorized in your body that you've gone through so much stuff. So it's tempting to feel like, what else can come through? And I feel like with this card, it's saying that you can allow yourself to feel hopeful again, to feel positive, and to feel like maybe something surprising that's amazing and good could come through. Like, you're not here to suffer. You're worthy of a good life. Okay. And let me read what it says here. So you get another book reading, get to hear me read again. Yay. Okay, the good kind. Sweet spirit, why are you working so hard? Really? What do you hope to gain in your current situation? Money, security, notoriety, love, acceptance, worthiness, growth? What are you working to find? Alongside whatever word your subconscious mind served up for you, add these two words, goodness and kindness. Allow these good old-fashioned vibrations to cut through the fog of your worries and let them lead you as you do the work. We get a massive energetic upgrade when we witness and partake in simple, virtuous gestures. I said genders. And we undervalue them all the time. Allow them to be an important part of the situation. Allow them to be an important part of the solution. Goodness asks you to seek simple joys, to unplug, and to do something because it's the right thing to do, not because of what you'll gain. Kindness asks for you to help someone out just because, to look at potential instead of just flaws, to look with an open heart. What did I say? Didn't I talk about an open heart earlier? To witness without judgment. Modern society can often paint these virtues as naive, superficiality, light and love, or even insincere. But whoa, my goodness, genuine goodwill and selflessness always open the most rewarding doors. Try some good and kind on for size, because they may be more fresh and alive than you remember, and they are always, always the good kind of undertaking. A few questions for consideration are, how can you lift yourself up? By lifting others. It's time to do the work. The good work. What does this mean to you? And how can you shift your focus from the metrics, the tech, the marketing, the drama, and the complex, and find the simple option that is rooted in kindness and goodness? So that's your message there. So if you are taking action, Just want to clarify real quick. The message isn't here to confuse you and say like, don't take action, but pay attention to the energy behind the action. And consider like why you're doing it, because we infuse the camera cut out. So I was saying before the camera cut out that pay attention to why you're doing what you're doing, because you could take the same action with different energy and get two completely different results. So I want to say thank you so much for loving yourself enough to listen to this message. Thank you for watching my first video ever. There's going to be so much good, amazing content coming up, and I hope that you will join me and we can create a little community. So if you like this video, give it a like, leave a comment. I'd love to connect with you. And I totally forgot to mention this in my other other piles, but I will have so much linked information below. And I have an Etsy shop where I do readings, and I am also, I'm gonna leave a bunch of links below. So I don't know what I'm gonna include yet. I just know there's a bunch of stuff, so feel free to check it out. And that's all. Just want to say love you, and I hope to see you again. Oh, and consider subscribing. But for any of the buttons you click, all I ask is that you don't smash it. Just gently click. Please just do that. All right, hope you enjoy the rest of your day or have a good evening. Sending you so much love and a huge hug and kiss.